welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun crafts coming your way. I have a few sweet friends who are going to be joining me, and I'll explain those I'm going to explain those details for you a little bit later. Every time. Anyway, so what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on farmhouse style Christmas home decor. So let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I do have a free printable for you. I'll have a link in my description box to my blog. This will come with a large and small size tree. And what I've done is I've cut out 2 small and 1 large, and I cut out 2 pieces of fabric for each one. You don't have to. That was just kind of my preference. And then I also found this big thick batting at Joann's. It's about 1 inch thick. It was like $7 a yard. So I'm going to use that for under my trees. You could use regular batting. You don't have to use any batting at all. But I just thought I'd give you a choice. And since it's so thick, one of them, the small size I cut out, I just split it in half for the 2 small trees. That way the top tree is thicker and will set up a little bit higher. For my main pillow base, it's 13 inches tall, 22 inches in length, and I'm using a Waverly brand 100% cotton fabric from Walmart. It's thick like a duck cloth. If you're a gluer and you're doing batting and fabric here, you can go ahead and glue your batting to your fabric. Now you have the choice. You could do like 2 small trees, 1 big in the middle like I'm doing. You can do 3 small trees, however you want to do it. So I gave you a couple sizes. Whatever you decide, once you glue your batting to your fabric, go ahead and glue that onto your pillow. And you could elect to use this type of batting that Walmart carries as well if you don't have that thicker batting like I am using from Joann's. All right, now first thing I'm going to do is, there she is. You know, Bella's going to join us. I'm just kind of measuring so that my 2 smaller trees are measured equally from the ends and top to bottom. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pin it to 1 piece of the fabric. All right. Gluers, you're sitting here waiting because you've already glued your pieces together and glued it onto the front of your pillow. I'm pinning mine down. And then what I'm going to do is take this to the sewing machine first. And then first, of course, sew down the 2 smaller trees that are in the background. Again, you can make your choice. Maybe you just want 1 big tree in the center and that's it, you know, or just 2 trees, just, you know, however you want to decorate it. Again, that's why I kind of gave you 2 sizes, and I'm allowing you to see this whole portion, how I sewed it. That batting is really thick, but it's really fluffy. So it's really easy for a machine to go through it. I'm actually on a size 14 needle, I believe, just because of thickness, and just a regular straight stitch, regular thread, and just kind of following the line of the tree design and sewing it about probably 1/4 inch in. I don't care if some of the batting, because it happens with this, because the fabric will kind of, because I don't pin it down completely, the fabric will kind of move on the batting a little bit. So sometimes, you know, there's a big chunk of batting, you know, kind of slid out one edge of the fabric type thing. You might see a little more batting in some places than the other. Like here you can see, I don't care if some of that batting's sticking out. I think it's fun. Now, if you're a gluer and you want to add some stitches, you can choose to like hand stitch, maybe with some crochet thread or something like that around the edges of your tree, you know, to add that design into it. So that's just an option for you. Our top tree, so it can lay a little flatter on both bottom corners and the middle corners. You can see here how I kind of cut half of that batting off. I do it on both ends so that, and up at the middle section too, I just pull it off like this. And then I cut that piece off so that those ends on the bottom and middle sections can lay level across the fluffiness of the 2 trees behind it, okay? That way the whole tree will lay nice and level. So it's probably easier to watch than me explaining it. I'm just going to kind of tack down my fabric here onto the batting, and then tack that batting down, a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue, and then I'm going to go ahead, that way it stays in place for me nicely, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew around it as well, and, you know, over the 2 other trees in the background. Okay, I think this is really fun, and it's easy, quick to do, and it's just, I love that puffiness and kind of that quilty look on top. As we all know, and you've been with me a while, last few our Christmas videos, I've been kind of doing like a quilty look this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, my buyers at my craft show coming up in a week like the little bit of a design change as well. Finish getting this sewed up. I just wanted to show how it's done. Again, how easy it is to sew. Again, you can use that thinner batting at Walmart, and you can double that thinner batting if you want as well. And again, you don't have to use any batting at all if you don't like the look of the, the quilting, the batting kind of coming out around the edges, that kind of thing. But I wanted it to look like it was an already made quilt, and I just cut my pattern out of it and sewed it on. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part. Next up, I want to make a little quilted tag that kind of matches the tree. So I do have some of that batting that I was showing you earlier from Walmart, a little bit of muslin here, and I've got to kind of use the piece to shake it and coax Bella off of the work surface here. She loves to play with the ripped pieces of fabric when I've been cutting up a lot of stuff, and I've like a strip of fabric. She'll get it and carry it around the house and bat it, and it's like one of her favorite toys. Anyway, I'm just going to cut it to the size I want. Only later, after I use the Michael's clickable stamps here, I realize I want it a little bit smaller still, so I do adjust the tag off camera. That's why it's down a little lower on that muslin, stamped down a little lower. Now this is just some fleece fabric I ordered online from Joann's. I ripped about a 1.5 inch strip, tied it into a bow, and I'm gluing it down with the Fabri-Tac glue, but I also want to just go ahead for extra little secure measurement. Since I'm selling this at a craft show, just do a little bit of stitches, regular needle and thread, onto that first layer of pillow fabric there. Just a couple of stitches in a spot where I know it's going to be hidden, of course. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I know that the Fabri-Tac glue is going to hold it just fine, but in my brain, I've got to have that extra added security. So I'll tie it off in a knot on the back once I've got it stitched in place here. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrinkle and crinkle my tails of my bow, and I will glue that down with the Fabri-Tac glue. I don't want them just hanging down toward the middle. I want them to look decorative and cute. Perfect. And then I will go ahead here and glue my bow into place. My tag into place in the center of the bow, and then I'm going to add just a little wooden button here, and I'm going to actually sew the wooden button on. I know you guys might need to sit down for this because normally I run thread through it and then glue it on, but I'm going to sew the button on because I've got this stuff here and handy, ready to go. So that's like a first, no? And then of course I'll knot that off, and I've got it where I need it to go, so I know that's all secure and stable. Perfect. And now it's time to assemble our pillow together. So if you're a gluer, you could take your 2 pillow pieces and glue all the way around between the 2 fabrics near the edge and leave, about 5-6 inches opening to stuff your pillow. Of course, I'm going to take mine to the sewing machine and just sew it all the way around. And as you can see that I often do, because to me it's quick and I don't have to worry about it, and it makes it country and that farmhouse look, I like to leave the edges out 95% of the time. I don't try to make the seams around the pillows look all pretty and sewed inside, that kind of thing, however I want to say that. I know that's all coming out jumbled, but I just like to sew and leave those edges out and leave those edges of the fabric fraying and stuff like that. I just think it gives it some whimsy, and it's easy to do, and I can move quickly with it. So that's not everybody's taste. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. You can take your pillow, put right sides together, sew around the perimeter, and then flip it so it's right side out, and then bring it and stuff it instead of doing it the way I did it here. Now, of course, bring your stuffing in and go ahead and stuff your pillow. It's funny because I was like, I loved it when I was sewing it and getting this pillow decor, and then when it was all done, I'm like, I don't like it as well. And then when I got done stuffing it, that totally made the difference to see this big puffy pillow. All right, now, once you've got it all stuffed, if you are a gluer, go ahead and glue your opening closed. I'm going to go ahead and sew my opening closed. And then that makes this project complete. Today I'm joining in with my sweet friends Tracy, who's Country Charm by Tracy, and Jen, who is Mother Time here on YouTube, to bring you lots of Rustic Farmhouse Christmas fun. We love coming together. We last came together in fall to bring you some great ideas there, and we wanted to do it together again for Christmas. Our styles are so similar that we just love coming together as a group to bring you all this fun for you. I will have a link down below in my description box to their channels, but more importantly, I will have a link to a playlist where you can find all our videos in one convenient location. Plus, it will be pinned in my comments. Make sure you go check out those other videos. You do not want to miss a thing. With that said, let's move on to project number 2. For this project, I'll have another pattern for you. Now, this is just a hand-drawn pattern. It's wonky, it's fun, it's meant to be that way. It comes in 2 pages, and when you cut it out, you just basically tape it together to dash line to form a bell shape like this. All right? Now, this isn't my original idea. I saw a couple of ideas like this on Pinterest, and of course, I put my Lindified flair on it. So let's get started with this. I think it's super fun. I'm going to use some rusty bells for this as well. I'm not sure at this point the size, but I do end up going with the larger size. And the fabric I'm using is just this quilt I found at a craft show. I've been cutting up. Any fabric will do, and just cut 2 pieces per pattern. And right now I'm just putting right sides together here. So if you're a gluer, go ahead and glue hot glue or Fabri-Tac glue all the way around the edge between the 2 pieces, but leave an opening. I prefer to leave the opening at the top so that you can stuff it. I'm going to take mine to the sewing machine, of course, and I'm going to sew around the edges here. Yes, this one, unlike the pillow, I chose to, as I kind of discussed near the end of that project, to put right sides together and to sew it, and then we're going to turn it so it's right side out. So this one, the seams will be actually all pretty. I almost did raw edges, but I thought, no, let's do it this way so, you know, you can see, obviously, 2 versions, and you can do any of these projects whichever way you want, seams out or not out. So once I've got it sewn, I'm going to go ahead and flip it so it's right side out. And the little flares here on the end are pretty skinny, so if you've got your pattern, you don't like how skinny my little flares come out at the bottom here, you could adjust the pattern, and as you cut your fabric out, you could cut it a little bit wider all the way around, but I'm okay with it. At one point, I'm like, should I redo it? And I'm like, nope, I'm just going to leave it. I'm okay with it. All right, so what I'm going to do here now is just take some crochet thread because it's really thick. You could do like a regular thread or yarn or something like that. And I'm going to come in the opening of that bell and come out the bottom through the center. And I'm just going to sew this bell. I know, sew the bell to the bell. I'm going to just sew the bell to the fabric. And I kind of went through the loop, and now you can see as I come back through the fabric, I'm just staying on the outside of the fabric, and I'm just kind of going through the loop, through the outside of the fabric, through the loop, through the outside of the fabric, just back and forth a few times. And now as I'm doing this, I'm starting to look at it while I'm sewing this bell on, and it's starting to look like the bell's a head, and the little things that are coming out are like little arms. So I'm giggling to myself off camera how funny this looks, because now I feel like I have like a little sock puppet on my hand with the head and 2 little skinny arms. See, look. Ding, 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 ding. I just had to show you. Anyway, I'm cracking up. My husband's cracking up. Anyway, so there is the fun of making this craft. So I'll go through the bell. I probably go 4 or 5 times just to make sure it's nice and sturdy. And when I'm done, I will finally bring my needle back up through the center of the fabric all the way up and out that opening. But I kind of squish my fabric down to get back down to the bottom so that I can just kind of run my fabric through the, or run my needle through the fabric there and make a little loop to be able to tie this off into a knot. I'm going to end up doing this process on both bells. I do the other one off camera, and here they are when they're finished. So now let's move on to getting our bells stuffed. And I went ahead and stuffed the little ends first, the little arms first, because, you know, they're more slender and it'd be easy just to get your stuffing in there nice and tight, and then fill the rest of it up. And I made my bells pretty darn fat. You can, you know, stuff them as fat as you want or as loose as you want, whatever your taste is. See, it's a little head and arms, isn't it? I just can't, every time I look at these bells, but no one else will know that, but all of us thousands of people that are watching this video. I ended up making 4 of these because I just thought these are really cute and I think they might sell good in the craft shows. So yeah, I made 4. Now, originally, once my bells are stuffed, I was thinking I would put the 2 bells together on one piece of twine, kind of make the top one, you know, a little higher than the bottom, but the way I was wanting to put my decoration on there, it didn't work for me. So I'm going to do each bell separately. Okay, and so you can see here how I'm kind of doing this thicker twine I get from Walmart, taking a long piece, putting it together, making a loop at the top, coming down a couple inches, and then making another little knot here. And then we will take that where this bottom knot is, and that's what we're going to glue inside the bell. Okay, and you can do it any way you want. I'm going to kind of make a hole in the center of the cotton here, add a big dollop of glue, and then I'm going to add some, add this rope in, add some glue around that knot, and get it to fit right inside that hole, all nice and secure, right in the center of that opening. Okay, we'll do the other one. This one I got a little bit smarter, put a big dollop of glue in there, and then put the glue first on the knot, and then squeeze it inside. And that Fabri-Tac glue is going to hold really well. Obviously, I advocate for it all the time. Now, if you want, and this is what I did those of you that are gluers, go ahead and let me finish my thought, turn your ends in and glue it all the way across, okay? Those of us that are sewers, I spot glued it together. I turned my ends in to kind of spot glue it in place, and then I hand sewed it together because I'm not going to be able to take this back to the sewing machine, obviously. So here I am just kind of spot gluing it across so that my ends, because they're all kind of ratty and frayed and disheveled, so I thought it'd be easier to kind of spot glue it together first and then come in and sew it with the needle and thread by hand. And I'm just looping it over the seams here. And it was easier to, hold together with 2 hands if it was kind of glued together first. And then as I'm running the needle through, when I get to near the rope I make sure I go through that rope really good. I actually go through it quite a few times to make sure. Here I am going through the rope and the fabric, and I go through it like all the way to the left, and then I come back to the right, and then go all the way back to the left again and finish. So I go through it like, double 2 or 3 times here to make sure that rope is really nice and secure, sewn into the thread and stuff here. Okay, and I'll do that on both bells, of course, and get that all ready, and then we'll move on to the next step. Right, here they are finished, and look, they're all lumpy bumpy, they're funny shaped. I don't care, that gives it the fun country of it all. Again, I'm making a couple of quilted tags here. One says Merry and Bright. This one's going to say Jingle All the Way. So again, I cut 2 pieces of batting there, ripped a piece of muslin, going to stamp on there. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. If you're a gluer and you want to do this process, you can glue them together. I, of course, am going to take mine to the sewing machine and sew all 3 layers together and give it that nice, fun, rustic, quilted, country, farmhouse. How many more descriptive words can we get in there? Look, to get it all together. I just like this. It makes it fun. And I love this kind of look because it's just so easy. I don't have to worry about getting everything so perfect, because the fun of it and the design of it is that it isn't perfect. And so I can move right along really quickly and, make lots of things here. All right, get this last tag sewn up and we'll decorate our bells. I'm going to go ahead and use Distress Oxide ink and Vintage Photo and kind of ink around the outside of my tags here so it's kind of got a nice little halo around the quote. And my T wasn't quite bright enough, so I'm going to take the T off that and come right back in from the side and stamp it again. And it made it fun because the little edges came up and around that, but I got my T a little darker on there. So these stamps are easily fixable if it didn't quite stamp dark enough for you. I'm going to just ink the back a little bit too in case it gets seen, but really didn't have to do that. I'm always just a little bit picky like that when I'm selling these things. If something on the back's going to be seen, I want it finished off. All right, I've got some ribbon here, about 1-inch strip that I ripped off, ribbon fabric that I ripped off here. I went ahead and even sewed around the edges. Don't have to. I just thought that'd make it a fun touch. It's real subtle. Probably nobody would even notice it, but I did it. So I ripped that 1-inch fabric. This is fabric I get from Walmart into a bow. Gluing it down, I'm adding some greenery on both sides of it. about 3/4 up on the bell here, and then I'm going to wrinkle and crinkle the ribbons into place, just like we did on our Christmas tree pillow here. Greenery, this greenery I think I got at Hobby Lobby. I love snowy greenery. And then red and cream twine, get that at Dollar Tree. It usually comes out for ours in the fall, or no, in the summer with all the nautical stuff, which is kind of a weird time to bring it out. Anyway, made a bow in that. I was going to glue it on, but I'm going to wait just a quick second. I'm going to go ahead and glue my quilted tag on first and then glue my bow on top of that. There we go. Now we'll get that glued down. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue down my tails of that twine bow into place. That way it doesn't come down the middle, as I always say, and block our tag. Because otherwise, why do we stamp it if everything's going to hang in the middle and we don't get to see our tag, right? So I just kind of let it lay natural, and then I glue it into place. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue in some beaded berries. These come in a pick at Hobby Lobby. I love these. They're just like the perfect color red for my taste. So I'm just going to tuck one in on the greenery, one on each side. Perfect. Give a little bit of red to it. And then I've got a button here. This one I'm not sewing in. I am actually just adding some twine in the center of the holes so that the holes are nice and filled. And then I'll go ahead and ink that up a little bit so it looks all nice and distressed. It's too shiny of a button. And then on this one, I will go ahead and glue right in the center of that knot of the twine bow here. Take off the excess glue so it doesn't spill out. Perfect. And now I'm going to go on to the other bell. It's pretty much the same in design, except on this one, I don't add a button. So, thought you knew me, didn't you? Got my fabric bow on there in place, adding my greenery, coming in with my beaded berries. Then we'll go ahead and wrinkle and crinkle the tails of the bow here, just fast forwarding a little bit. We already know what to do in this case. We did it on the other one. I'll go ahead and glue down the quilted tag, glue down another twine bow here, and of course glue some of those tails into place as well where I want them to be. And then on this one, instead of the button, I'm gluing in a kind of a, it's hard to see here, but a little sugared pine cone. I think it's a sugared pine cone. Could be a plain one. I don't remember. In any case, it's a pine cone. And now I'm coming in with that vintage photo ink, and I'm just going to kind of really lightly color all around the bell because everything else looks so distressed. I don't want this just white bell and then this rusty bell underneath. It just doesn't look right. So I wanted to kind of distress up and color the white fabric so that it matched in with the rusty bell and everything else. Once this is done off camera, I'm going to go ahead and spray this glitter dust. I use this all the time, you know, between the holidays. It's clear with extra fine silver glitter in it. There is different colors. I like the silver. Link to Etsy in my description box. Now I'm going to use some spray adhesive and this kind of powdery looking fake snow. I actually got it like this in this Ziploc bag at a thrift store. But it's different than like what we see now at Walmart or Hobby Lobby because you could tell that's like shredded plastic. This looks and feels like shredded styrofoam. And so I kind of did research online and I found this link to what looks like, description-wise, that this stuff is. I haven't ordered it, so don't yell at me if it's not it, but it sounds just like what I'm using here. Of course, at some point I will order it, but you can see I have a great big bag of it, but I still wanted to extend to you if you want to try it. I love how powdery soft it is. So I spray on the adhesive and then I put this on rather thickly because when I turn it over and like hit the back of the project, most of it will fall off, and I want to make sure that this powdery snow hits all the areas that I sprayed adhesive on. Once I do this process, that makes this project complete. Let's move on to project number 3. For this project, it's quick and easy, and I have one of these cutting boards from Hobby Lobby. Now, I've tried to put like vinyl on these things before, and even if I sand it, it is so difficult to get that vinyl to stick, and it takes a while, and I have to put a sealer on it, but I'm always afraid it's going to come off. So let's work with that a little bit today. So I have a little piece of scrap wood here. I cut down to fit it with about 1/4 inch all the way around. Now, you could use some really thick cardboard, would work fine too. You don't have to use anything if you don't want. And I'm just rounding the edges a little bit with some sandpaper so it matches the rounded edges of the board. And then I'm just going to take some scrapbook paper and I'm going to cut it to fit the front of this little piece of scrap wood. And normally I let a little bit of wood around the perimeter show, you know, the paper sets in center, a little bit of wood around it, but I'm not going to do that this time. The wood is simply here to just raise this up off of it a little bit, give it a little dimension. That's why I say, like, you know, a thick piece of cardboard or a piece of foam board or something like that would work fine. I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers little corner punch here to round the corners so it matches the cutting board as well. I'm going to use some Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color drop cloth, and I'm just going to paint around the edges of my wood here, so if a little bit shows or something like that from the side, it all matches and looks nice. And then just a little bit on the front, just in case that paper doesn't quite go all the way to the edge, in case I, you know, was human and cut a little bit short. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that paint mixed with water and water it down and set it aside for later. Now I'm taking that paper to my sewing machine. I'm just going to add some stitching around it. I love doing this. I just think it gives it character. If you're not a sewer but you want to add stitches, you could take like an extra fine Sharpie marker and make little dash lines around it. Would look perfectly cute. I've got some vinyl here and imagery and everything I cut from Cricut Design Space. I just did the words up top and then I used some of their free images, but you could go on like Pinterest or Google and find free gingerbread, you know, and you could download it and print it onto some cardstock if you don't have a vinyl cutting machine. I don't have a printable or anything because it's just, you know, you could, all sorts of free imagery out there for this kind of stuff. So I'm adding the vinyl, of course, to the front of my scrapbook paper here. And then I'm going to take that watered down paint and my fan brush. I'm going to put my fan brush in it, wipe off the excess, and then tap my fan brush for a little bit of splatters. And I'm going to go ahead and glue my wood piece down while that paint splatter is drying. And then I'm going to have some cream and red checkered ribbon here. I got this, I think it was Hobby Lobby, could have been Joann's. Just going to tie a simple bow at the top. I'm going to go ahead and leave the twine that's already in there. It's perfectly cute. I'm going to glue in just a little tiny piece of greenery, and then I'm going to add a rusty safety pin and a bell. Once that's on there, our paint now should be nice and dry. So we're going to go ahead and glue our imagery onto the front of our little wood piece there, or a piece of foam board or whatever, as we discussed earlier, that you want to use, or nothing. You can glue it right to the front of the cutting board without anything on it. And now I have some of this cute fake sprinkle. I ordered it off Etsy. I'll have a link down in my description box below. It has these tiny little peppermint patties, so tiny I have to hold it with tweezers, and I'm going to glue it on front of the gingerbread man for buttons. So cute. This just like picked it up another level. And then I'm going to use some glitter dust on there, spray it all up, and that makes this project complete. So I hope you enjoyed all the projects that I came up with today. Please leave me a comment down below. Oh, you know what I'm going to say. Let me know which project is your favorite. Please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm to catch all those thumbs up, and it helps my channel to grow. If you walked in here for the first time and you're just checking things out, maybe you came over from Tracy's channel or Jen's channel, welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoyed the projects today. But if you're digging what you saw, before you click off, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another project from me. Thank you again to my sweet friends, Jen and Tracy. I love collaborating with you gals. I think it's kind of becoming a thing with us to hit these different seasons. you both make me so happy. I love your friendship. Remember, everybody, I will have a link down below in my description box to a playlist as well as pinned in my comments so you can go check out all the videos in one convenient location. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. From the beginning of time, we have always had a choice to live in relationship with God. Open your eyes and see the path that God lays before you. He chose you. He wants that relationship with you. He called you by name. Open your ears and hear His voice saying how much He loves you. Jesus brings the assurance of His peace through the Bible, His very word of life. Allow your heart through faith to hear all that He has for you. You can find refuge in the arms of His love. As you walk along the path with Him, know that He will always stay beside you. Do not be shaken if you are walking through a difficult situation. Allow His heart to soothe your soul and allow His strength to be your refuge and your guide. There are so many ways that God demonstrates His love for you, and He wants you to know that He understands and knows everything that you are facing. Know that He hears you and that He cares for you. As you walk and talk with Him during hard trials, you may feel like you aren't quite hearing Him. Maybe you're unsure what to do next or where to go next. You feel His quietness during your trial, but it doesn't mean that He isn't listening or that He doesn't care. It can be hard to cultivate the silence of Him sometimes, but you must absolutely believe that He is with you. He simply may be working a few things out on your behalf, and that can take time. Don't stop believing or trusting in Him. Don't walk away from Him. Don't give up hope. Wait on Him and know that without a doubt and with all your heart and soul that He has a way for you. He has a healing for you. He has the destination of mercy for you, and He has life for you. The narrow path you're walking to His throne is wide with His love for you. Stay on the path. If you reach a locked gate, unlock it with the keys of His grace and allow the gate to swing wide, and know that His love and determination for you will bring you new life, and you will reach your destination in the arms of your beloved Savior. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.